Pyramid One Radio.
To call and to speak to Kellie, use these numbers. Dial 605-472-5765. Then dial the access code 608060#. Then to join the session, which will be awesome. Congratulations, you are now ready. Tell everyone we expect 1,000 people listening on their phones from all over the world.
This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Good evening, and welcome to Conscious Speaks. Let me tell you a little about the host. Her name is Kellie J. Wright. You all know her. Tonight, be a part of the conversation. What it means to truly love yourself. Free of judgment, fear, ego, pride, and jealousy. She says, we learn to undo what we have accepted or taken on as part of our perception of self. We are free from negative self-talk. Start a 90-day transformation, and she will assist along your journey. Whenever two or more are in his presence is how this works. Kellie's ebook is how she walked her mind out of doubt and fear, one blog at a time for 13 weeks, into loving and acceptance of self. The first step is the hardest, and it will become a way of life. Once we know we can free our thoughts from fear, the work becomes a staple item to the goodness it provides. Life is a gift. So make sure you choose to wrap yours in a world that is created by and lived on your terms. Kellie J. Wright is a successful radio show host, self-love transformational guide, business owner and voice, and author at www.internaljourneys.com. Kellie is on a passion-filled mission to help individuals discover their own truth through her actualized process called the 90-Day Transformation. Now, may I introduce to you, the audience, to the entire world, to the universe, to the light, Kellie J. Wright.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone out there listening. Thank you for listening to Conscious Speaks Radio. Hi, Bob. How are you doing today?
Okie dokie. Hey, listen, how was everybody's Easter?
I, I'm sitting here today. I'm just like blissed out, but I was watching you during the whole beginning of the intro, and you were jamming. Looked like you were mixing decks over
I,
there. I was just like digging your energy. I'm like, I
I'm,
need some of that.
I'm sorry, man. You'll never kill the musician in me.
No, it was. I'm like, I bet you he's spinning something over there.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. How was Easter? That was your question. Really cool. My Easter with my family was absolutely beautiful. Really one of the most beautiful Easters I think we've had. We were down one family member, my eldest nephew on my side of the family. Trey was away. But everyone else from the whole family was there, and it was really beautiful on my aunt's property. And I've been, it's so funny. I've been doing transformation work for over 6 years now, and it's always been around resurrection and rebirth. I mean, interesting. I mean, the name given to me for the project was internal narcissist, and we've talked about before. Narcissist was a Greek demigod who drowned on his own reflection, literally with a rebirth being a daffodil, which is a narcissus bloom flower, and it symbolizes Easter and the equinox and everything. So there's symbolism through everything in life. Everything is tied together once we can disconnect our rejection to words and not understanding that there's metaphors and backdoors and different ways to traverse the stories that have been evolving and turning and twisting since the beginning of whenever, right? So Easter was great, but I was really impressed that I'm usually hammering on myself at Easter. I've got this, I've had this mantra in my head that it's resurrection weekend. It's 3 days. You have to do something to push through something. And I didn't, and it didn't even occur to me. I am in the middle of a 10-week, I call it a Kundalini Animal Speak Directive, because the way that it showed up in my life, that's all I can compare it to, which is pretty interesting how it's happening. And I keep saying I'm going to share on it, but I think that's the most I have, and I'm not sure. We'll see if it comes up in the show. But Easter, beautiful. How was yours?
It was quiet. Let's put it that way.
Was it?
There was a lot of things that I had to do. You do your own. You take care of things and that and whatever, and that I cooked. And that, so we made like this, forget about it. I mean, I'm going to make people hungry just by telling them what
You crack me up when you say forget about it. Say from New York.
Forget about it. But it's, it's one of these things that we make the ham, and you glaze over the ham and you slowly cook the ham. So the whole house, it still smells like ham in here. But I brought stuff to work. I mean, it was like I had ham sandwiches. I had ham with my eggs in the morning. I mean, it was like, But, I mean, it was crazy. So we did that, and then we had mashed potatoes. And then with the mashed potatoes, and that, there was some cheese and bacon with the potatoes, in the potatoes. And then you take that, and you take green beans, and then you take some gravy, and you put the gravy over there. Oh, man. And then you take red cabbage. And it's got to be right in between the potatoes and the beans. It's got a certain space right there. And this stuff was so tender, you could just it'd melt in your mouth. And things.
And you probably made enough to last you the whole month.
Yeah,
right?
So you want to talk about everybody that's listening going, I want to go to his house.
Well, everybody who's not a vegan, right?
I swear to God, I mean, I have so much, and the other ones in my house that don't eat like that. They don't eat ham.
Yeah, vegan, vegetarians. Some people just don't eat pork.
Well, yeah.
All kinds of diets.
Yeah, just don't eat the pork and stuff and that. So I said, well, no. So I made my own, and that's it. And then I froze. By the way, I froze half of it. So I have another couple of days of food still. That's how much.
I want to freeze me right now. I think that's what I need is a cryogenic chamber. Today I just felt like, that'd be a good idea. Didn't that happen to Fry on Futurama? He was cryogenically frozen and brought into the future.
We were having a conversation about something you said when we were talking about the yin and the yang, and the woman's side of the brain and the man's side of the brain. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's my transformation right there. I mean, I've gone from being a crazy business person and cutthroat guy and the Wall Street guys and everything else, and that not quite the guy that takes you for your for your gold teeth, but
I know. Did you see my eyes go
yeah,
cutthroat?
close to it. But then I came from that into somebody that loves to cook. I love to be on the radio. I'm still playing and I'm writing. I mean, it's like transformation. I went from what I was to what I had become, an executive and all the stuff all in New York, runarounds and everything else in Chicago, et cetera, et cetera. You do all that kind of running around, and then you go right back to where you started because that's where you should have stayed.
Okay, I'm just laughing because
That's
a lot of
transformation right
transformation
there.
work is like that. I mean, for me, in my transformation journey, I'll just caveat for a second. It was, to me, 100% spirit-led. I truly was just walking every time where I was led. And by this point in my life, I was very aware of listening, paying attention to signs, what I was providing myself. So I had enough skills and resources to piece together what I was presenting myself to walk myself through what became a me-led journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's at one point after the first 3 years work, 2013 to 2014, 2015, 2016, yeah, about after it was 6 months after my third 90-day transformation, when I came home, I called it a spiritual concussion. I felt like I had a spiritual concussion because I had done so much work and blew the doors off like so many frequencies that I'd done 3 transformations since. So I've 6 under my belt in the last 3 years. But I really was healing, but then practicing everything I knew. And I wanted to make sure I was who I'd always been, and then I questioned the parts if I didn't want them or if I didn't like them. I was really holding myself up to the light to go, which part's real, which part's not. Which part was fear, which part was love, was this because of this, or did I do that because of that? If we're looking outside of us for love, what was I missing on the inside? So what does that represent? So were parts of me still real? And it's taken, I'd say, because I do this so detailed, I don't leave a stone unturned the last 3 years. It's really taken me that long to realize I really am the same person in most things, except for what I look to. I've beat desire and craving. So now they're choices of I'm not led by those 2 things, which, interesting enough, I was kind of Googling Kundalini because I'm like, what is it, it says those are some of the things that you've done. And because I always felt like whatever that was, I had already processed that. So what I'm working on now is it's a different part of that awakening, which I'll try to explain when I'm through it. I'm only halfway through now. But it's like going back in. The second part of it, it's a second Kundalini, interesting enough. But I found out, yeah, I am. I'm pretty much the same person, except for, vices and different things. I've grown, aged out of some things. I've changed my diet. I'm really focused on cellular health and memory and, retaining the below to match the above. And I'm the same person. I just flipped the language. It's a love-based frequency. So you're right. You do end up right back where you started, pretty much.
Right back to where you were the most comfortable.
Yes, where you were the most comfortable. And that's why I love transformation work, because, as you just said too, because I realize there's so much that happens down here on planet Earth. There's so much that we do every day that very rarely do we get a chance to truly work from our authentic self, to be who we've come to be.
Right.
Especially if we haven't done the work yet, because we're still in the middle of that hamster wheel going. And I love it. And my family, they get some of the things that I've been working on too. And there was an interesting conversation at brunch for my mom's birthday on Saturday. And it's just like, you realize, you know what, I am me. And all these things always were me. I'm just not fear-based anymore. I'm love-based. And so it's really liberating to authenticate your authentic self, where you were your most comfortable. But technically, I think if we're looking at that, it's in an age where our most vulnerable is where we're our most comfortable too, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you age. I'm talking about our 20s. when we're, after when we're at
Right.
18, 19. Well, I moved out a little bit early, but that whole thing, moving out, that early onset of, hey world, it's mine to run. I'm out here. I'm gonna try and figure it out.
Uh-huh.
And so things happen so fast during those years that there's a lot of, I think there's not a lot of place markers. It's just a lot of fly by, at least for me. I mean,
What I was going to say was people that they go to school when they're young. I don't mean high school. I mean,
yeah, college.
college, or
Yeah.
technical school or whatever you do. It's like taking a rubber. Now here we go. I know that Diana had said something about me and the gum on the bottom of the table. Okay, now we're going to give you another one. It's like a rubber band. You go from being the child that was in grammar school, high school, and you're launched into this new type of education, which is quick. It's like this all the time. Boom, 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 boom. Bash on your tax, this, that. More this tests, and you got all kinds of stuff coming out, and you're running back and forth, and you go out to here and there and all over the place. So your whole life goes from depending upon the house that you lived in with your parents, who your parents were actually the grounding part. I mean, they were the ones that would grab you by the back of the shirt and say, "Whoa, slow down, boy."
Sometimes,
And
sometimes not, right? Depends on what house.
so I only had my father till I was 9, but up until 9 years
Okay.
old, trust me, that man had a hand that would go zoom. And so that's that part of your life, and then you go into this college thing, and okay, so you're stretching that rubber band just a little bit further, okay, and it's a little bit further, a little bit further. Now you graduated your school, technical school, college, whatever it is, and now it goes a little bit tighter because now you don't know where in God's name am I going from here. Okay, so you get to that part, and it gets a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter. Finally, you find out where you're going in that, and you're going to get to that place. Now you are scared out of your pants because you really, now, the world is on your shoulders. It's in your hands. If you drop it, it's your fault.
Well,
Nobody
I
else's fault.
I
Nobody to look
have
at.
no idea what any of that feels like because that was not my story at
Okay,
all.
but most people, this is what it is. Now,
I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, that's like three
now,
different languages mixed into one. Doesn't make
that,
sense to me. I'm like,
that's, but
everything's
that's
a
the
school for me.
But that's the
Uh,
that's the
it's
part where you've already stretched it out, and now the rubber band goes, and that's it. Out to the
again,
future. That's where you are. You're right now. You're in the future. Your brain is already thinking about what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do with my life, and it at the end of that snap of that rubber band, you start coming down. Now you start.
yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's not my life.
Most people walking around and that's. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I woke up one morning in the New York area, so I mean, that's where my soul landed me. It's not the kind of. I mean, you get up in the morning, you're already doing 90 miles an hour, and you just got one foot on the floor. So
Unless you wake up hungover, which I used to do a lot. Okay, so my life didn't go to school right after I went to school part time while I worked, and so my life was School of Hard Knocks, and so that's a different school. So we're always in school per se. It's just how are we choosing to train ourselves? If we're a rubber band, or if we are not the rubber band. It depends on who we come to be, right? Because I've never felt like I was catapulted anywhere. I always felt that I always knew and felt I was exactly where I am. So um, it's one of those conversations where I can say that probably makes sense to a lot of people because and it's I think that's the stat. I think that's a normal way people live, um, and I think that sometimes what happens is people do it backwards, right? Some people go to school right out of school, um, and some people go to school later. Some people graduate and marry their high school sweetheart. Some people, like me, I got married and I was divorced a year later, and I was thrown out of a whole time sequencing of people my age. Um, I think that transformation work is not a rubber band more than it's a loose leaf tea. Like you were talking about your grandmother reading tea. It's loose leaf tea without the little, what do you call the little tea holder, the meshing thing that you put it in. You just put it in there and you're on this, on the water, just kind of floating around, emotion. And I think kind of trying to bring that tea together to see what it is really what kind of comes to me, my mind. So you've got the rubber band theory, and I've got the loose leaf tea theory.
This is what it actually was. The rubber band theory wasn't a theory; it was real. But it was there was a time when you got to the end of that rubber band that at that point, let me see, I was already married. I was 21 years old when I got married. I already had 2 kids when I was 23.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah, one of those kind of things. All of a sudden, you look yourself in the mirror one day, and that's where I am comes in. Because now you have the responsibility of a family, of where you are and what you're doing, and all of a sudden, there's a calming that comes over you. That's when I knew, and that was the beginning of like when we started doing big music tours and everything. That's when I knew what or where or who I was at that point. It was one day. Yeah. It was a one-day smack in the head transformation that changed my entire life. Even though all the things that I've been through, and trust me, when I do finish the book, and that'll be about 600 pages, but from all the things that happened, and all the places and countries and everything else that go with that, still that one day turned the key on no matter where I was.
Yeah, transcendence
was the now.
Yeah. And it took every step to get there. Now it doesn't just happen for no reason. It's every step slowly becoming that awakening, that sweet awakening, where we're walking, we're instead of just walking forward, we're actually in our body walking in time with our sequencing. And that's a beautiful thing to have happen when you're, married and raising a family, because sometimes people have that happen too late, and then, marriages don't work, or it's too late to repair, or different things like that. So we never know when our awakenings are going to happen, right?
Oh yeah.
And we can't judge what they are, because I was talking to a client about this. That if we believe what we believe, that we're all here to, in a grand play, to learn lessons and to enjoy being human as a spirit form in this beautiful body, that we have to stop taking our failures so personally, because if we've made agreements with others to come here and help each other learn things, then failing is part of those agreements. And in my transformation work, it was a really big awakening for me to finally be able to let go of something I believed. And that's the thing about transformation work. You can see it, you're heading towards it, you get to hold it, you get to sleep with it, you're thinking on it, you're chewing on it. You never know when that moment's going to come. You understand the context of the lesson, and you have to wait until that right moment. And for me, the right moment was realizing that if I believe what I believe for my spiritual beliefs, then I have to be them. I can't pick or choose when they're true. And so if I believe that we're here to learn lessons, that we're in each other's life for a reason, and that we're here to help each other evolve, then when we do have mistakes happen, we have to understand that is for the lesson then, right? And we can't keep beating ourselves up for it, whoever, because we feel so bad about the lesson. It takes 2 to tango, right? And nothing happens to someone who's not there. So wherever you are, you've placed yourself. We talked about that in my blog, Hand Walked. And until we stop placing ourselves there, we keep running into that same experience to wake us up. And sometimes quite painfully, literally, we walk into things to wake us up. Did you say we have a phone call? I'll digress.
Yes. Yes, we do. We are going to take, let me see. All right. Area code 509. Who's on the phone?
You have to pick? We have more than one?
Hi, it's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kelly. Hey, your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a big change.
Yeah, it sure is. When I cut my hair off when I was a hippie, It was a big change, but boy, it felt so much easier. You know, mine was down past my back, and boy, it was nice getting it cut off. But I wanted to tell you, my transformation came. My father was a heavy minister from the old apostolic Lutheran, so it was like German Baptist. I was really heavily Christian, and women didn't wear makeup. I was very strict like German Baptist. But I got my dad died, and I got in with some cosmic people called the Cosmic Cowboys in Seattle. And Frankness was the guy that taught Love Israel about Christ and other aspects, and they started Love Family, and we were in connection with Ken Kesey and Eugene, and we had really a good life. But they turned me on first to Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of yoga. And that turned me into new aspects of life and teachings, like Vivekananda, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, just mass books, you know. Gospel of Ramakrishna, the Aquarian Gospel, the Rancha, all kinds of cosmic books.
Wow.
And it really transformed me from being sort of a kid in a puddle to the universe is there for you, boy. It was just wonderful, and this man was smart that taught me. That was my transformation.
Well, it's beautiful. I'm getting spirit chills just listening to you for all the experiences that you had. That sounds fabulous. So the Cosmic Cowboys, what's that? I'm from Seattle, and I don't. And tell me about them.
We were down in the Fremont district, and in fact, Frank was the one that opened up the Fremont Hotel and put apartments in for people. But we were the only people that rode Harleys that with the Hells Angels, and they never bothered us because they said those guys are nuts.
My kind of guy.
Cosmic Cow.
Oh yeah, my kind of guy.
We had Cosmic Cowboys on our bus.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yes. Hippies riding around on the old Harleys.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love Fremont. I've been to several festivals there, solstice events and whatnot, and yeah, there's a great eclectic group of spiritual beings there, definitely.
You know, I went to that thing in 1970 in Granby. It was a Rainbow Spiritual Awakening, and all these people were supposed to be there for the solstice, and they were going to see the spirit. And when I started watching the Rainbow Family with brightly colored teeth, they were sniffing paint. I got the heck out of there. I said, what's going on in this place? There were some strange things in the 60s.
So they huffed paint in the 60s too, right?
Oh, God, I saw those teeth and they were sniffing that paint. I said, I'm out of here. You know, and what a rank high. Heck.
I love that.
My brother
awesome.
book choice was booze, too.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm glad that you opposed that. It keeps your brain cells.
He reminds me of something. Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember Tester's plastic glue?
Is it what?
Yeah, well,
no. Yeah. I remember that. People,
yeah.
Bob, what about the banana peels, smoking banana peels?
Oh, forget about it. Yeah, you're supposed to fry them and dry them out. Yeah, I know. yeah.
Oh, God.
People do that?
I'll never come back. But I love the 60s. It just cracked me up. You know. I saw Pink Floyd the first time they came to Seattle. But the band that really blew me away back then, Bob, was they had the Aqua Theater up at Green Lake.
Oh,
and they had Three Dog Night open with the big band, and we had this little band called Led Zeppelin, and I didn't know who the heck they were. And they opened for Three Dog Night.
Favorite.
Right.
And, oh, my Lord, they blew me out the door. Everybody left after they got through. They didn't even want to see Three Dog Night. I mean, people were going, whoa. But they were so raw and good back then. Life was good in the 60s.
You know, it's funny, though, because I was so close. In that era. What he's talking about. That if anybody remembers Young Rascals.
Yeah.
That band or lead singer's cousin lived around the corner from me, and they came over a couple of times. and we jammed in my mother's basement.
Nice.
And I'm sure that's why, as I said, what's his, half of the bands that were there. I mean, we all played at that time because we were just there. I mean, there were clubs that you could go out to and see a band. We saw each other before everybody was famous.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Supporting each other. Local musicians, local artists.
Except for the Rascals. That they came over that there was a couple of girls sitting on the back of a convertible car, sitting on top of the back of the convertible thing. And that my mother almost died. She was like, "What the heck is?" I mean, they were like, "Oh boy, I tell you, man, I tell you."
Risque back then, right?
Bathing suits showed less.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm digging that Tim got to see Led Zeppelin before they were big because that's my favorite band. So I didn't know that I didn't know Led Zeppelin opened for Three Dog Night in Green Lake. That's cool to know.
Well, I'm going to get off so I can hear you completely, and I just love you both. You know, I get so much energy from both of you that I'm like a speed freak afterwards. I'm bouncing around, cleaning the house, jumping off the walls. You guys give me so much positive energy. You're both very much good. I love you.
I love you too, Tim.
You're the man, and thank you very much.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.
You know, I tell you something. It was so funny in that because there was a lot of people in that I married met too. Paige, I met face to face. I walked up a stairway in the place that helped me and designed all my electronics and my guitars. And I walked up the stairs to this guitar place, and guess who was at the top? And they wrapped me into that because it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was called up to come and look at my guitar. Not knowing that this big white limousine that was in front of this place was Paige's limousine.
Jimmy Page.
That's so cool. I had the best afternoons you could ever believe in your whole life. And let me tell you something. These people are just like us. I mean, it's like crazy.
I've hung out with many musicians, and I have a lot of friends that are musicians and artists, and you know, I try to remind people that we're all the same. The only thing that divides us is proximity. So if people are always worried, they're like, oh, this person would never like me, or this person would never talk to you. Well, if you're in someone's proximity, that changes. So where are you going to place yourself, right? And this isn't just about knowing a musician or hanging out with the band or any of that. It's about placement, really, which is coming up, and that's week 7. Week 7 in our transformation work.
Okay. Do you remember Fiddler on the Roof?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago.
See that? Not in this brain. It isn't.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it for a long time. Yeah, but I remember seeing it.
The original guy that did the original Fiddler on the Roof. Okay. I have his autograph and everything else and that, and I sat and talked to the guy for like 20 minutes. We had tea.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just placement. Wherever we are, we'll create our now. This is all about transformation work. This is all about transcendence.
Your work.
Hold on, Bob.
Okay.
And so if you really want to change your life, if you want to change your reality, we create it from the inside out. And so who you hang around, where you place yourself is going to create your world. If you sit at home and wish that you could be creating this life, but you haven't found people who are connected to that life, you haven't tried to take a class, or you haven't found a place where these certain people hang out that are artists, writers, musicians, or people who, like Bob owns a radio station that you can put a podcast on, or transformation writers, or work, anything, what you want to create. If you're an architect, if you want to build a house, if you're a sports enthusiast, maybe you don't play sports, but maybe you want to design something, then put a logo on it. So you've got to find people who are doing the similar things that you're doing to create and lift your vibrance, to create your transformation, to create that placement. Placement is 2 things, right? Placement is not only where you place your thoughts, but it's where you place your body. And I flipped that. It's not only where you place your body, it's where you're placing your thoughts. And when your thoughts and your body are in accordance, when you're able to place your thought in your body and then be in the proximity of that which you seek, You have conversations with people like Bob just said, or conversations that I've had with similar people. I never become, in my growing up years, they called it faced. I don't get faced with anyone. I mean, I feel that we're all similar and that we're all the same. It's just how we perceive ourselves. So, of course, we have acknowledgments to give. We give respect to people who've done the work and who've been here longer doing things. But there's no reason you can't sit down with someone and have a great conversation. Everyone's a person, too. Some of us have been doing things longer. Some of us have been doing them poignantly so that they've gotten recognition. We have, musicians, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, two favorite bands. And so, or writers, I used to really be into Anne Rice. There's just different ways that we connect to our world. How are we painting our world? How are we going to place ourselves in an area where proximity is not going to be a deterrent, but an opener, right? So when we get out of our minds, get into our body, then we can start reaching out and connecting with like thoughts, like minds. And that's really what transformation work is. And I'm glad this conversation finally took me to it, because it is about placement, right? If you listen to Bob's stories, he's a musician, he was playing, he's an artist, so he's meeting all these great people out. Where is he out? In music stores, in venues, connecting with people. And Tim's talking about his spiritual awakening and how he met all these great gurus that he's known personally and listened to and heard because he was in looking and meeting people in these areas. For me, that's something that's part of my next step, because I've spent 6 years intensely inside working. So I'm bridging out, hence me having the radio show again, right? And reaching out to people through Facebook and social media saying, are you feeling something? Should we connect? Do you want to have a conversation? I've been doing that for the last week, deciding to make poignant reaches out to people who like to post or not to see, hey, you've liked my post, maybe we should connect and see what happens, right? Let's just talk, because that's how we're stronger together. And you don't have to be Kelly, who has a radio show, or Bob, who has a radio station show, is a musician. You don't have to be anyone but you and decide, like we talked about at the beginning of the radio show, am I being who I came to be? And am I free from fear now? Because we're going to end up right back where that most comfortable place was, like Bob brought up at the beginning of the show, after we get to the point where we decide we really want to be happy and be there. And so that has to do with placement. And if you think about it, it will go back to placement in our mind versus placement in our heart, our soul, seating the body. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out. It is transformation work, explicitly worked on in week 7 of transformation, because we work on placement. Where are we placing ourselves? Everything happens for a reason. It's an intended lesson for growing or loving, and we create it by where we place ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Some of us can sit somewhere and talk about all the things we want to do, and that might happen to somebody their whole life, and then they never do what they're thinking and wanting to do because they're not in the right place to connect with like minds. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. I'm just
where we have.
Oh, yes, we do. And we also have a lot of people coming in or trying to come in on Skype. Yay. So I'm typing on Skype so that everybody knows exactly what we're doing.
We're talking about placement. I wonder if I should read it, but
okay. Now that's that. Okay, now on area code 206, we have somebody on 206.
Yay!
Go ahead, you're on.
Hi, it's Diana.
Hi, Diana! Touchdown! How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I was so primed for this show, and now that I listened to the whole first part of it, now my mind is spinning. It's like, oh, geez. I don't even know
Bob
what
and I have a tendency to do
that.
Diana, quickie, did you send the same thing you sent me? Did you send it over to Kelly?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So that she got what I'm serious. We have to talk about this.
I don't know what you're talking about. because I get so many things. Diana and I not only are work together as client and coach, but we're friends. And then she also does editing for me and graphic design. So I'm not sure which send we're talking about.
Never mind. We won't tell. I'll send her a copy so she knows.
Okay, because I'm like I'm not in on it, or I probably am, and I just don't remember.
You are.
Okay,
I don't mind not being in it.
It was just since you're on the phone now, Diana. It was beautiful. It was. I know I sent you a note back and everything, but it was awesome. Definitely, absolutely, 1,000% awesome. You are on your way.
What's beautiful? What's awesome?
I'm gonna send it to you, but I can't tell you right now because you don't remember. I
remember if you tell me, because I remember everything that her and I have talked about. I just don't know which one.
I don't think you talked about it. You want? Hello.
Kellie will. Kellie will remember in an instant, and it does kind of tie into what you're talking about. It's just that what you guys went off on about. I mean, I could go off on musicians. Never killed a musician in me, all of these different things, but I will, because we're kind of getting out of time, what I had written Bob about and what I know I shared with you, either in Evernote or at some point with you, Kellie, what I was thinking about are all of the different parts within us, and actually what you've been talking about on this show so far actually adjusts that since I've been doing this spiritual work a year ago, January, we talk about our mind, our body, our heart, our soul, our spirit, our higher nature, our lower nature. And I've always wanted to find out, how do all of these parts work together, Okay, we can't really always trust our mind. Our mind will lie to us. And I say lies, but they're kind of more like just untruths, which I guess are lies. But they're untruths. They're fear-based. So we learn to love them through to flip them and shift them into love-based. But you can't always trust your mind. You have to be mindful about your thoughts and what your mind is telling you. Then I thought, okay, then I move into my body. Does my body lie to me? And actually, you just talked about this, Kellie, just right now on this show. It's like, no, your body doesn't actually lie to you. That still goes back to your thought. Like, I want to eat this. I don't want to eat that. I want to eat this much of that. Or I don't want to eat at all. Well, that goes back to your mind. That's not really your body. Your body, I'm kind of processing this through on my own as I'm talking, so bear with me. But I don't think your body necessarily lies to you, but you do have to be watchful of your mind. So then I'm wondering, okay, so, because I always want to know, where all of these different parts in my body are. There's my heart. I know where my heart is because I can physically feel it. I know I can feel its presence, and our hearts are our souls. But then there's our spirit. Is our spirit like our divine energy that guides us and moves us forward that we're born with? And so I'm just trying to get together all these different parts so that they can all, I know what to listen to direct me to my true north. It's like maintaining your car, You take your car in and you get the tires checked and the fluids checked, and then their car's good to go. You take care of your home, and you hopefully take care of your relationship. But it's only transformation work that brings you back to how to actually manage and take care of yourself, and how to organize all these different parts in ourselves, what to listen to, what not to listen to. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sounds like you're doing great work. I love it. Keep it up. That's exactly the questions that you should be asking yourself at this point in the journey. And this is where you start following your heart, right? Whatever pings to you, whatever you come through and think, oh, if I want to think about, I always tell my clients, because this is what I do, if I have something that I feel I want to know, I Google it. We have Google. It is amazing. And so what I'll do is I seek through words my connections, and I will type in, Trinity and metaphysics, Trinity and The Bible, Trinity. Like, so you just kind of start mixing different parts that you want to look up that come from your heart, Google it, and then you see what comes up and you read. Transformation work is different for everyone. No one's going to have the same desires to seek different knowledges. Not everyone's going to want to know how the body and the soul work together. Some people want to do transformation work and just want to find their inner peace. They want to free themselves from a childhood memory or block or something that makes them not want to reach out, or pride blocks them. So it's really beautiful. I love that your mind is going so many different ways, because that's the nature of the journey, to see, as Bob and I talked about earlier, where is it that we're going? Is it still are we still the same that we were when we were younger, at our most excited and authentic self, right before the world interfered and we started like living? And like Bob said, you get trajected out into the future, or like I said, loose leaf tea leaves all over the world. We all have this point where we get caught in the middle of the melee. And so as we come to a point where we are kind of draw that line in the sand that we talk about at Grow In the first blog of the first week's work, is where we look back. We draw that line to look back and do the detailed count for what pops up. We don't dig and go, okay, that is sticking out to me. That's something I want to look back and work on. I want to look at it from my current state of mind with all the knowledge skills I have now, and go back in time and look at how I perceived that thought that coded my internal thinking and reasoning, my harmony, my sequencing, right? Through our chakras, right? We're talking about Kundalini work. You're wanting to know how these different parts work. Go look at chakras, right? That's what's coming to mind, because that shows you how each organ works in your body. And that is similar to a part in a vehicle, right? So our body is our first vehicle of self. Bob, did you say that we had a phone call?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay, because I want to, Diana, is it okay if we take the call?
Yes.
Okay, I hope that helped a little, and thank you for sharing that writing. I remember that one now. It was in their journal.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, who's on area code 480? Hello, 480.
Maybe they changed their mind.
Nope. 487, you there? 480, I'm sorry.
Are you there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you had me unmuted again.
Well, you can hear us though.
Yeah, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Oh, okay.
That's JK. How are you doing today, JK?
Hey, you're responsible for today, you know.
I'm what?
You're responsible for what happened today.
I'm responsible. What happened?
Yeah, I had the biggest epiphany I could ever imagine.
I told you. Okay, tell me what happened.
I know it. Well, no, it all came true after I let it gyrate, generate in my brain for a while. And then I started writing. I wrote a lot. If you look at the Evernote.
I can't wait.
All this stuff all these things you're talking about, what Diane was talking about, it's basically what you call synchronicity, which the universe works for all of us, and we all work within the universe. So it all works together. That's how it works together. It's synchronistic. And then we start talking about proximity, and the thing we're talking about today, the lesson that he talked about today about shining brightly, is kind of interesting, because I started realizing that everything has waves or frequency, like radio waves, static, sound, even color has a frequency. And as we talked about this color, I came to the conclusion that the colors that we see is how we're feeling for that day. And if we're in the dark colors, we're actually in a dark spot. And some of us are trying to move out of that, which I'm trying to do, is move out of that dark spot into the light. So it's really kind of interesting how color and proximity works together, because if we're having a blue day, our frequency is going to show that to the person's frequency, and maybe they a little bit down below that, or there may be a little bit up from that. And then this is how we communicate to boost each other up.
Yes, yes. I'm yay! I love that work.
I got it, Kelly.
I know you did. I told you were going to. I said, you need to get off the phone now and just go on that feeling. Congratulations.
Yeah, you were hammering me.
I do. Diana's on the phone too. She's here. I'm a good coach. I'm gonna hammer you when I need to hammer you. I do it with love, but yeah.
That's right. That's why I think this transformation process is great, because you love this, and we're actually learning stuff from each lesson. And I picked the last 2 weeks. I had these epiphanies. So starting to look at things differently and go, why the heck did I learn to think like that? Let's go back to Bob's rubber band, or your loose tea leaf. They're actually the same thing you guys are talking about. They're just looking at it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I didn't go to college right away. He did.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to college until I was 55. So.
See?
Yeah.
It all happens differently for everybody. Well, actually, I went to college when I was 38, got my master's when I was 57.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I partied.
That's a different time. We're always learning. You never stop learning. That's the whole key to the universe. We all learn lessons and expand on these lessons.
Yes, you're right. And we want to expand on them because we're all on our own path. Remember, we talked about that too. I was a very young girl sitting with my grandparents at my grandparents' house with my cousins and my sisters, my mom and my aunt. And my grandfather said, and I repeat this story all the time, he said, none of you kids are listening to me, but this is the time of your life, and you're not even going to know it. Just going to forget, you don't even realize it. And I'm sitting there going, I'm listening. So I took it to the upteeth degree where I made sure I had fun and really enjoyed the best time of my life. And that was my college education. And I started going to school a little. I was like, I listened. I was like, I'm going to enjoy this part of my life to party and have fun. And then the second part of my life will be the best part of my life, I call it. Yeah.
You got both the best of both worlds.
Yeah, in my own sequencing that I chose. And so sometimes we're aware that we're choosing sequencing, sometimes we're not, right? And I, like I have mentioned before, have been very aware of a lot of things in my life, but there are many things I had no clue about, and you couldn't have ever convinced me that I didn't have a clue about the things that I have a clue about now before this transformation work. Like you said, earlier today, you're like, I didn't know I could think about it that way. And I had the same, I've done this work, I know, I feel that way too. And Diana's having all these great epiphanies. She's connecting to processing how the body works, and how we work with spirit in the body. This work helps you really find your passion and free your mind. And that's all it is. It's freeing your mind. If we come into this world as a baby, and I talk about this a lot in spiritual work, we come into the world as a baby. I'm not even going to go into the part before we come. And we're born, and we're placed into our mother's hands or our first caretaker's hands. We look into their eyes. That is our first love. Literally, our mother, whomever, our father, whoever, that first look, that baby connection, that's our first love. Whoever our caretakers are, they raise us. And we are mirrored and guided and schooled through them. And so whatever their world encompasses is our world. And so we're in these little bubbles within bubbles. And until we start to bridge out and go to school and meet people, we start to find and bump into other people that are in their bubbles. And some people reject other bubbles. Other people open up, right? And so it's just one of these things. We're in our own wormhole. We're learning. No one's right or wrong. We just only know what we've been exposed to, right? Bob had a great sentence for this a couple shows back. I can't remember. But, we learn how to understand the world around us in many different levels when we do transformation work. We break open some shells, some chrysalis parts. People think of a chrysalis as, the cocoon waking up. But I look at it as there's even chrysalises within chrysalis. I call them memories frozen in mind. So when we go into work within these little parts that we have frozen, we break open that frequency, and then we learn how to perceive and open up our layers of thinking, our vision, to see the world through different ways of introducing it to us versus rejecting it. And that's transformation work, I think. In a nutshell, it's just learning how to see more clearly everything that's happening and to not attach it to us, but to witness it. That's the first part. Did you say we have a phone call?
Yeah, this one actually came in on Skype first, and then I typed back to her or him, and now we have them on the regular line.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
So, okay, everybody, let me see. Area code 615. Who's on the phone? Hello. Area code 605. Who's on the phone that was driving?
615. I don't know 615.
Tennessee.
Oh, is it Tennessee? Okay.
I hear you.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, well, I got kind of a personal question, but it's also spiritual.
Wonderful. Hi, I'm Kelly. Who am I talking to?
Huh?
This is Kelly. Who's talking? Who am I talking to?
Yes, this is Gary Hardison.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Doing okay. Could be better. Could be worse.
What's your question?
So, well, getting ready to go to Thailand and do my spiritual work, and then a bunch of stuff happened at work today, and I'm questioning does it look like I may be having to come back and look for a job? Because it will influence my spiritual work.
So, were you going on a paid vacation to go to Thailand? Were you leaving your work?
It's a vacation, but I'm going to visit temples, a bunch of temples.
Beautiful, beautiful.
One temple in particular.
Okay.
That do the healing work.
And is this a guided tour or with a group, or are you going by yourself to meet people there?
I'm by myself. I've been
Okay.
there before.
Okay, so you've been there before. Is it like an ashram in India, or how does the temple work?
No. It's in Thailand.
Okay.
Not in
And
India.
so,
It's a temple.
right.
Temple
And
where
how does it work
most of the
there?
village people, excuse me?
Are you going to stay with someone? Are you going on your own to do your work, or are you going to meet someone there?
Well, a friend of ours lived there. It's Bob Pickus.
Okay.
He's
okay.
actually agreed. Bob Pickus?
Bob Pickus. Okay. I don't.
Yes,
I don't
he lives there, and he's actually agreed to take me to the temple. I've been to the temple many times, but it's been like 10 years since I've been.
Okay. So your question is that you have a trip planned to go to this temple in Thailand to do your spiritual work, but something happened at work and you might lose your job, you're not able to go, or are you looking at it as maybe you're thinking as a block?
I'm going.
Okay, you're going.
But when I come back, will I have to be looking for a job?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think you might be a different person when you come back, depending on the work that you're going to do. Do you have a job right now that you're leaving to take time off of to go to Thailand?
Well, I'm going on a 2-week vacation. I'm taking my vacation time going to Thailand to do my spiritual work.
And you're going to do that in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
And what kind of work are you going to do?
The temple, it's a Buddhist temple, and the lady channels Buddha.
Oh,
and all the village people come to this temple to get healed. The energy is intense. I mean, extremely intense. I mean, you sit at this temple and you know God's there at work. You're in God's house when you go to this temple.
Right. So do you feel, I feel that coming off of you right now, you realize that that's the house that you live in, right? That you have that energy within you as well.
Yeah.
I could feel it from you. Do you feel like you have to go there to be healed, or is this something that you could work on here so you don't lose your job, or what is it?
Healed, but to, I guess, re-energize myself, I guess.
So, it's really to do transformation work wherever you're going to do it. It's a commitment to time and placement, which is what we were talking about on the radio show today. If you're going to there because you've been there before, you feel a connection, you need to go there. I always say that we should follow our heart. If you're worried about, if you're going to have a job when you come back again, then that's something, that's a real personal question you need to spend some time with, because I'm a realist, right? And in life, we have bills to pay and we have to take care of our houses and our homes. And so if we're going to sacrifice home and hearth to try and jumpstart to get a feeling in 2 weeks, we just, you want to make sure that you feel good about going. So when you come back, you're okay with whatever you've experienced, and then you'll be able to take that energy and all the goodness that you've co-created with these people at this temple, and bring that back to re-energize a new start. I wouldn't know how to answer that question for you, because it's so personal. It's a personal thing. There's two different ways that we work with rootedness, right? There's the rootedness of the body, there's the rootedness of the mind, and we all live on planet Earth. So when I threw caution to the wind, I just followed my heart, and I knew that I'd be fine wherever I went. So I never had a fear of coming back and things being any different than I was going to make them. So we all have the power to create our reality. It's just, what reality do we want, right? And you never know who you're going to meet, right? On the plane, on the travel, while you're there. But if fear's involved at all, then I would always make sure that you address that first, right? That you figure out what that root cause is, because sometimes our initial fear is just the precursor to show us where to look, and it might be try to show us to break through something, right? So I'm going to always be cautious if someone ever asks me something about their work, and we don't want to lose our homes and our throw ourselves out of our safety net unless you're able to do that and feel comfortable. And that's a very, you have to do a ton of spiritual work to be able to be comfortable enough to go, all right, Father, Mother, I'm fine wherever I am, on a box on the street or in a penthouse or in a double wide home. I can honestly say that wherever I go, I know it's a spiritual lesson, so I'm fine. But I don't know a lot of people that would be that comfortable. So those are questions that you might want to think about too, I think. Do you have anything on your mind, Bob, that's coming to you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. Well, what I was going to ask this gentleman was, and your name is, sir?
Excuse me?
What's your name? Gary?
Yes, Gary.
Gary, okay. Oh, boy, see that I got that one without you saying a word. What I was going to say was, what do you do for a living?
I'm an automotive technician.
Ah, see, now
so you can get a job anywhere.
Yeah, now
you've got a skill.
now he's touching somebody that worked in that field on the parts end for many years. When you're doing something like that, are you the one that's fixing cars?
Oh yes.
Okay, so your
Every
hands are busy every day. So you have some time in that to think too, and think about yourself, and think about those two words I say all the time: I am. That's what you're doing when you're going to the temple. you're going to reinforce yourself to yourself at that temple.
Correct. Basically refine myself.
Exactly. So as long as you have those 2 weeks off, I don't see any reason why you'd have any problems coming back.
Well, and again, like we said, at some point in a transformation journey, you could reaffirm that I am yourself, but we have to get there first. And a lot of times we use outside placement, which we're talking about today. And especially if you've been there before and you know the energy there, if it's calling to you, everyone's journey is so special and it's so unique that, I always follow my heart 100%. And your job that you have, that's a really great skill. So you could do that anywhere, right? Even in Thailand.
Well, you can't get a job in Thailand, not as an American. I was Thai, yes, but now that you're working for a company and they send you to Thailand.
I actually have not been to Thailand yet. The lady that works at this temple, what's her name? The priestess or the?
Well, her name is Petri. The lady that
Petri?
channels Buddha.
Okay. They're if you're fascinated with working with Buddha, you can Google how to become a living Buddha. It's work that I do. It's work that it's all similar to becoming a mind Christed. Jesus, his name wasn't Christ. He attained a Christed mind, which is similar to what Buddha is. That it's the free from thought, that free energy love, that atoned sort of energy that we can possess, that love, that agape love. So if those are things you're interested too, you could work on those while you're using your hands with the I am Bob talked about. And I think that we could all become these things ourselves. We just have to know how to do the work if it's meant to be. I'm always for travel. I think that sounds like you've got a pretty good trip ahead of you.
I do. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you're going to have to come back on the show and call us after you get back, because you're going to probably be completely ready to share that energy with us.
Yeah, I mean, when I meditate, I have too many visions of it and too many dreams about being at the temple.
Bingo.
That's it. I mean, that's it.
The universe is telling you to go.
It's telling you.
Exactly. Yes.
And for me, what rings really clear is you feel clear. You have a solid profession. You've been there before. You know the people. You planned it. It's something you've been looking forward to. It sounds like, this is the next step in your journey.
I also feel something about Gary too, in that when he gets there, and he does, obviously he's going to do meditation and consider himself to be the I am person that he is. He is going to find out something about himself. That's what I want to know when he comes back.
Yeah, we definitely want you to call back.
That's exactly what because first of all, that particular place that he's going to, I believe, now don't quote me on this because I'm kind of sort of trying to play back the maps that I've seen. I think it's on a vortex.
I'm not really familiar with Thailand, so.
Oh, same thing with a vortex that's over Stonehenge.
Okay.
All right, that's an energy spot. That particular place that emits tons, and I mean tons.
It's not Angkor Wat, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Gary, what I really heard is that you were going there to reaffirm something that you needed to reaffirm. My gift is to listen to your words. And so I believe that we create our future from our now. And it sounds like you're creating a beautiful connection to self, as Bob just said. And so, yeah, we're really excited for you and your trip. I'm so glad that you called in. Tell us something else about it. What's coming to your heart?
I mean, like I said, you sat in that temple, and I mean, the energy is so intense. It's like you just your head's spinning. I mean, and your heart's wide open, and you're seeing all the people getting healed, and seeing the miracles getting performed in front of you, and you hear all the monks chanting, and it's just, I mean, you're buzzing. I mean, your head's just, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, when you go there, you get goosebumps, right?
Oh, goosebumps. There's not even the word for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the hair on your arm goes whoop.
In your heart, you know you're sitting with God. That's all I can say. You're in God's house.
That's beautiful.
Well,
Bob had something similar like that happen on one of his Mexico trips. So.
Oh, baby, yeah. I was down by the pyramids.
I just do it wherever I am, so it's just a little bit wherever I am. I believe we are what we believe at our truest core, no matter what. If you strip all the dogma, every word, strip it down to sound, which is the purest way that we communicate. We are what we believe. We are what we believe. So I'm excited for you to become even more what you believe, and I invite you to call back. If you feel like calling in and sharing, we would really like that.
Okay, I will do.
Okay.
When are you leaving? When are you leaving?
I'm leaving out Saturday morning, 7 o'clock.
Oh.
You're so lucky. I'm so excited for you.
This coming Saturday morning?
Excuse me?
This coming on the 27th?
Yes. Saturday morning, this Saturday morning.
There you go. So
I'm
you'll
coming
be
back on the 11th.
You'll be home around 11th, so you can call us on the 13th.
Yeah, and that's like the Ides of May.
There you go.
And
Gary,
my plan is to go to the temple. Huh?
If you get a chance, I don't know how did you find our show today?
Through Sharon Miller. Well, I know her as Miller now. It's Wyatt.
Okay. I was just thinking if you get a chance to follow us there, then we can keep in touch with you. And then when you get back on my Facebook page or on Pyramid One, then we can make sure that we have you on the show to come talk about your experience. We'd really enjoy that. I'm excited for you. Bless you on your trip, Gary. Bless you. And I know that you'll receive everything you're looking for. I feel it.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Bless, Gary.
And you can bless you.
Bless you too.
Okie dokie.
Yay!
I'll tell you something. That is incredible. Incredible what he's talking about. He has no. I mean, if he's been there before and felt the way he did, when he goes there with pure intent.
Yeah, like completely. Like he knows it's already. Well,
that's like channeling the heart of the universe.
Yeah. I'm excited for him to call back. All of us that have been on the line, we got to feel that energy. Diane, did you feel that energy? JK, did you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was really, really incredible. I'm so glad that Gary called in.
Me too. I'm just sitting here going, I'm going to be like catching a ride with them over there to Thailand. I'm like, how are you doing? Can I watch you become more fully I am? It's pretty powerful stuff. Pretty powerful stuff that he's been there before, that he's going back. When we follow our heart, anything can happen. Anything. That's what transformation work does, right? It opens up these doorways. I know we all have dreams that we want to be able to achieve, and once we dismantle fear, we're able to open up those doorways and connect and go through time. Did you say there's a call, Bob?
No, that's the end of the show.
Oh, it's the end of the show. I wasn't even looking. I was so into Gary's story and his energy. I'm like, where are we going? What's going on? What are we talking about? Oh my gosh, Thailand, a temple, yay!
But really, seriously, and people that are listening right now, and which there's tons. The phone lines are always open, and later on at another time, when there's 100 people or 200 people in here, this can be a conference. You can all learn all at the same time. I mean, it's just an awesome way to do this. Plus, on top of that, there's a chat room. If there's somebody that's on the phone, all you have to do is go in the chat room, and tell me what your area code is and what your question is. We will answer the question, and we will actually tap right into you right in the phone room. Is that simple? I mean, this is good. This is the most interactive show that I know of out there right now. There's a lot of guys in sports that have a similar show to that. But we are going to actually be able to guide you, not tell you anything. We're going to guide you in this show.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. That was very cool. I really am thankful for John calling in, for Diana calling in, for Gary calling in, for Bob, you being here, for John down in Australia, going to get this show out tonight so quick like he always does. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and call in. Thank you, Pyramid One.
And there you go. Now, I want to tell everybody that's out there, too, you've been listening to Pyramid One Radio Network worldwide. We're all over the whole planet, and probably another couple places, too, that we didn't count yet, but who knows. The number here is 605-472-5765. All you got to do then is dial the access code, which is 608060#. Simple. Gary did it. You can do it. I want to tell everybody, God bless everybody. Bob Charles.